And it's a funny story. Not really funny, but funny how it feels. September 2010, my phone rings, and it's my physio. And he usually calls me, but this time I knew it was going to be a bad call. I answer the phone, he says, Lewis, we've just got results from your scan. You've refractured your spine. It's worse than it's ever been, and it's making its way towards your spinal cord. That means you're going to have to retire from professional cricket. I put the phone down. And usually, the first person I would call after hearing news like that is my mum. I'm a mum's boy. I'd call mum straight away, but I didn't. I didn't call mum. I called my dad. And my dad is a very stoic man. He doesn't really show too much emotion. He hasn't shown too much emotion to his sons. But I called my dad, and I said, Dad, I've just been told I'm going to have to retire from professional cricket. And this man had never said any emotional words to me before as a young lad. And he said, Lewis, I'm so sorry. And I put the phone down straight away. I couldn't handle it. I was at the county ground, I was at Sussex, I was in our facility, I was in the car park, and someone was coming up to me, like waving to say hello, and I ducked behind a car, and I cried for about 20 minutes. I wouldn't go anywhere near anyone because I couldn't just bear the news that I was going to have to stop playing the sport that I'd worked so hard to get to. But then I was struck with a thought and a reminder that I wasn't really meant to play that profession in the first place. I wasn't meant to be a professional athlete in the first place. But to understand that, I have to go all the way back to day one, the day I was born. Because the day I was born, the doctor that delivered me diagnosed me with a condition called Poland syndrome. And the doctor literally took one look at me and go, oh, this kid's got Poland syndrome. And my dad, who's a keen sportsman, comes bumbling past all the doctors and is like, yeah, but can he play any sport? First thing he asks. So, well, actually, he's not going to be able to play many sports. He's not going to be able to play a sport like rugby, and he won't be able to play a sport like cricket. And a year later, my younger brother's born, Brad. And my condition manifests itself slightly differently to people that have it. And it means for me, I'm missing my right pectoral muscle, so a large muscle in your body up here, and two ribs that are directly behind it. So the only thing that's protecting my upper right portion of lung is just skin. Now, if any of you have played cricket, seen cricket, and especially professional cricket, I can tell you that ball is very hard, and that ball moves very fast. If you just catch the ball, I've broken fingers in my hand just trying to catch it. If you get hit, it will not only bruise you, it will break bones, but for me, if I was to get hit up here, it could kill me. So that doctor that delivered me said he's not going to be able to play a sport like cricket, that's not going to be on the cards. So okay, that's the message we've been sent straight away. But growing up, me and Brad, we're two brothers. Now, if anyone's got a sibling in the room, maybe like me, I just want to beat Brad at everything. If there was a lamppost we were running to, I'm getting there first. If he's got the remote control, I'm wrestling his ass to the floor so I can get it first too. Everything me and Brad were doing was just competition, and I just wanted to beat Brad at everything. That was life goal. Take away subjects at school, his life goal was beat him. But as we grew up, we were introduced to a range of different sports. We came to Steyning. We enjoyed PE. We got into sport, football. But then back at home, my granddad gave me a tennis ball and my brother a cricket bat. And I fell in love with the game of cricket. That was just my passion. That's what I wanted to do. My dad was taking us to not only see professional football matches, he would get us tickets to go see professional cricket matches. And then one day, being about 14 years old, after playing a little bit of cricket in the garden, we didn't have even cricket at school here at the time. I was playing club cricket. I just slammed my fist on the table one night and said to my parents, I want to be a professional cricketer. That's it. And they're looking at me going, all right, how are you going to do that? I said, well, there's a trial coming up. There's a trial coming up for the counties, for Sussex, for the age group. And I think I can get in. And they're like, well, all right, well, let's get you to the trial. So I turn up to the trial. Now, I'm going to say parents in the room, remember the Friday ad. My kit was brought out the Friday ad for the younger generation. That's like Gumtree, eBay, like take your pick of whichever one, Facebook Marketplace, anywhere. So I've come up in second-hand kit, all over, mum saying, you'll grow into it, don't worry if it's oversized. So I turn up in all my second-hand kit, I walk into the room where this trial is, and then suddenly I'm like, oh no. There's 100 kids in that room. They're bigger, stronger, taller, faster. They've got brand new kit. They're coming from private schools. I'm going, I've got to get in the top 15 out of 100 here. I'm never going to get in. So I look around the room, like, nervous as hell. How the hell am I going to stand out? And I came home off from the first day and I told my dad, I was like, Dad, there's a lot of good kids there. Some that are way better than me. I don't know how I'm going to get in. And he's like, you're going to have to find a way to stand out. So we came up with a plan was every time I went to a training session, I was going to be that kid who just asked questions. I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the ability. I had no right being in that room. I was going to ask questions. I'll ask question after question after question of the coaches, of the players, anyone that was in earshot. So I just nagged those coaches. I know now coaching kids that I would have annoyed myself. So every moment I would just tug on their sleeve and say, hey, what is he doing? How can I do that? Can you come and have a look at me? How can I improve? How can I get better? And I just thought, do you know what? I'm not going to be able to show them the skills. I'm not going to be able to be in the top 15 from ability-wise, but maybe a good attitude, like to show that I'm willing to learn and get better, that might count for something. So weeks later, we get down to the day where they announced the squad. It was pretty brutal. Just probably like an email or text message now, you're in or out. But then everyone was in a room. And they have the head coach has a clipboard. And he just says, right, you hear your name, come up. If you don't hear your name, see you next year. You're off. So I'm sitting there, they're going through, it's 15 names have got to be called. We get through 1, 2, 3, 4. We get to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh no. 15, Lewis Hatchett. What? Called my name. I jump up, grab my shirt, grab my cap. I'm like, oh my God, I've made it into the squad. My Brad had made it into the age group below, so all the cricket in the garden had worked for some reason. We managed to get into the squad. Now, I've made my first goal. I achieved my first goal, make the age group representative team for Sussex. I was now one of the best cricketers in my age in the county. I was like, yeah, cool, I've done it, awesome. But then you realise that 15 gets put down to 11, and that's who plays the game. The 4 that don't play in that 11, they're on the bench, they're not needed. So every week, a letter would come in the post, and it was stamped with the emblem of Sussex, and I go, oh, that's the team sheet. So I'd run to the door, rip it open, be like, Mum, Dad, it's it. Oh, I'm on the bench. The next week it would come, I'd run to the door, there it is, rip it open, oh, I'm on the bench again. And that happened for weeks and weeks and weeks. I didn't play. They didn't think I was any good. So I was just water boy and carrying the drinks all the time. And my dad could see this. It was frustrating for me. He knew what was going to happen. The end of the summer was going to come, and I was going to be binned off and moved on. So Dad said, you're going to have to do something again to stand out. So he came to me with a phone and a phone number, and he said, right, you're not allowed to leave that room until you call this number. I was like, whose number is that, Dad? He's like, this is the head coach of the men's squad. I want you to call him and ask if you can go train with them tomorrow. They're training at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. I was like, are you mad? This is like calling up a professional footballing coach like Guardiola and saying, can I come have a kickabout with the boys? So I was like, this guy's mad. And now these are all my heroes that are training tomorrow. I can't do that. So you go, don't come out that room until you've got an answer. So I'm standing there writing a script. Do I say, hi, howdy, how's it going? What do we do? I'm writing all that. What do I say? What's his name? Write that script. I'm sweating. I'm in there for hours. Eventually dial in the number, delete it. He knocks on the door. Have you done it yet, Lewis? No, I haven't done it. Eventually I pluck up the courage, call the number. Hello, Mr. Robinson? Who's this? It's Lewis Hatchett. Can I come and train with you guys tomorrow? No, Lewis, we're absolutely fine. Cheers, thanks, bye. Phone down. Come out the door. He's like, how'd you go? He said, no, Dad. It was useless. It's cool. Call him tomorrow. So next day, Dad comes with the phone and the number. He's like, give me an answer in a minute. So I'm standing there sweating again. I'm changing my script. I'm rewriting. Eventually pluck up the courage to call the number. Hey, Mr. Robinson, do you need anyone to train with you guys tomorrow? I can be a spare hand and do anything you need. Like, can I come and help you out? He's like, no, Lewis, we're all right. Cheers. Didn't work, Dad. He goes, cool. Call him tomorrow. Went through this for weeks. Eventually to the point where we're like weeks down the line, I'm calling him up and they're like, hello, it's Lewis. Yeah, we know it's Lewis. It's a no, Lewis. Cheers, bye. So I'm like, okay, call him next day. Eventually it's the last time I'm going to call this number. I'm like, I'm done doing this. Right, okay. Hey, it's Lewis. Yep, we know. Do you need a hand tomorrow? Yeah, a couple of guys are injured, sick actually. Can you be in at 8:30 in the morning? It's like, yes, I can. Bang. Get all my kit ready. The next morning, I'm standing in the changing room with some of my guys who were my heroes at the time. I was trying to get autographs off them the night before, and I'm then standing in the changing room, about to go and train with them, going, right, don't move, don't touch anything, only speak when spoken to, just don't mess up. And look, I had no right being in that room. Like I said, I wasn't good enough and still sure as hell didn't have the skills. But all I wanted to do was just look at some of the best players in the country at what they were doing and take mental notes, literal notes. And then when I came back to school, I'd literally finish school and I would run home back to Upper Beeding, and I'd be straight in, put my trainers on, and then running around Steyning, trying to get myself fitter. I'd be running around the area trying to find a net. I'd go to Steyning Cricket Club to just find a net in there and go and practice the skills that they were doing. I just straight away, as soon as I left school, that's everything I would do. And then I would go to those training sessions and take more mental notes. How were they moving? How were they training? How were they talking? What were they eating? What were they doing in the gym? Everything. And I was about 16 years old, and everything was going all right. I was starting to learn a little bit. And then one day I was just bowling in the nets, and then bang, I felt this pain in my back, and I couldn't move. I couldn't literally sit down without being in pain. I couldn't lie down with being in pain. And then found out a few months later that I'd actually fractured my spine. So I had to go into a corset. I'm now in sixth form in Steyning. I'm doing all of my exams in a damn corset underneath my clothes. It was the hottest summer as well, so I was sweating through that damn thing. And I then didn't play cricket for 2 years. It took ages for that thing to heal. But during that time, I recognized one thing had happened that I wasn't willing to accept, was that my body had failed me. And I never wanted my body to be a reason as to they couldn't select me for a team. I could deal with them saying, look, you haven't got the skills yet, maybe not there. But if they said, look, because of your condition, because of your physical side, we're not willing to pick you, I couldn't deal with that. So during that 2 years off, I would sneak into the training facility and find out who the strongest and fittest player in that team was, write down their training program, put it in my back pocket, and then go and do it myself. I'd go into the gym over here, the leisure centre. I'd go into any gym that I could get into. I'd sneak into facilities. I was getting kicked out at 11 at night in facilities because I just shouldn't have been there, because I was just trying to train and improve myself. And then eventually, I'm 18 years old. I leave school here, and I'm left with the decision, go to university or go to Australia. Now, who wants to be the rocket scientist and know which one I took? I went to Australia. But before I went to Australia, I was going out there to go to an academy. I was like, this is the last shot I'm going to get at being a professional cricketer. So before I go, I want to sit down with that head coach and say, what do I need to do in order to be a professional cricketer? I want a literal list of what I need. And he's like, Lewis, this is a long list, buddy. You're going to need a lot of pen and ink. So I was like, don't care. Write it all down. So I wrote down this book of things that I need to do, and I flew off to Australia. Now, that's 2008. Facebook was invented in 2007. So there was no going out there, Instagramming, Snapchatting, letting everyone know the highlights of what was going on, showing the transformation that was happening at the time. Couldn't do that. I just had to ping mum and dad an email or a phone call, just say I hadn't been eaten by a shark that week. And I went out there for 6 months to just train and try and get better. And I come back, and I ticked everything off that list. I stand in front of the coaches, I'm like, look, you can see I'm fitter, stronger, better, ready to go. And they're like, yeah, but we're going to go with these 5 guys who we think are better than you. Are you all right just sitting on the bench? We'll call you when we need you. You carry the drinks. Now, my only goal at the time, 19 years old, I just wanted to be the opening bowler for the reserve team at Sussex. That was my only goal. And I wasn't willing to just sit down and not be picked again. So Dad said, you're going to have to do something to stand out. And this was where I took a big gamble. I sat down with all the head coaches at that team, and I said, look, I'm from Sussex. I'm from this area. My goal, I want to be a homegrown player to play for this county. That's all I want to do. I don't want to play for anywhere else. I want to play here. So in the next 3 games that are coming up, I want you to, the bet is, I'm going to make a bet with you. In those 3 games, let me open the bowling. If I do well, let me carry on doing it. If I don't do well, I will ride off in the sunset. You will never see me again. And they're like, oh, what a deal. We'll take that. Signed, sealed, delivered. Right, cool. 3 games coming up. Load of pressure on me. I've got to perform. Fortunately, I broke a couple of records in those games. I took 21 wickets in 3 games. And they're like, damn it, we've got to keep up our end of the bargain. So I carried on doing that. For a few weeks later, the coach comes up to me and goes, actually, you're playing so well, we need you to jump on the bus with the pro team and carry the drinks there, be on the bench. So I'm like, damn it, I'm on the bench. But actually, this is the bench to be on. This is one of the best professional teams in the country at the time. So I jump on the bus. I was working in a smoked salmon factory down the road. I pack in that job. I jump on the bus, pack my bags, leave my car at home, and I'm traveling around the country with this one of the best teams in the country. And we get to game after game, and all I'm doing is just carrying drinks. I'm helping everyone out. I'm just like, do you need anything? Do you need a towel? What do you need? And I'd get the best seats. I'd sneak a couple of autographs from some people that I thought I could just help get some cool autographs off. But we get to one game in London, and it was still to this day, in my time, it was one of the most exciting games because international games had ended. And of the 22 players that were going to be playing in that game, 15 were international cricketers from all around the world. So I was like, I'm going to get some amazing autographs here. I'm going to be able to sell them. So I'm turning up. I'm like setting up my station for where I'm going to sit. We've got the best seats in the house. It's going to be awesome. Ready for the game. We're about half an hour before the game starts. And then my coach comes running up to me. He goes, Lewis, our number one bowler for the team's just got injured in the warm-up. You're going to have to play. Here's a cap. Here's your shirt. Go get ready. Oh, and by the way, the first person you've got to bowl to is the England captain. Good luck. So I'm like, what? So I call Mum and Dad. I'm like, Mum, Dad, I'm about to make my professional debut here. You probably want to stop what you're doing and come up here. They stop whatever they're doing. They jump in the car, flying up the M25, trying to get to London in time. Next thing I know, I'm standing at the top of my run-up. I'm looking at the England captain. I'm nervous as hell, pretty much forgotten how to bowl. I hear someone, they announce my name, that I'm coming on to bowl. I hear from behind me a bunch of people screaming like, who the hell's this guy? And I look behind them, my own fans from Sussex supporting my team. They don't even know who I am because I've got no name and number on my shirt. No one knows what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't even remember my name at that point. But I took a breath and I was like, right, just do your job, Lewis. Know what you're good at, do your job. And we went through that game. That game lasts 4 days. It was a great game, like, incredible game. We move on to the next fixture, which was down the road in Leicester. And the guy who was injured got fit again. And I thought, oh, do you know what? Easy swap. He comes back in. I'm out. That was my opportunity. Cool. But the coach said, we're actually going to drop someone else and give you an opportunity. And this game changed my life. Because in the first innings of that game, I took 5 wickets, which in footballing terms is like scoring a hat-trick. And I did it in my second game. But the thing I remember the most was not only just performing well in that game, but was what happened after the game when I left. The coach that I'd rung so many times that said I was no good, that said he was going to go with the other 5 guys. I was getting this green card to go back to the hotel. And I felt this hand on my shoulder, and it was him. And he turned me around and he said, Lewis, we're going to offer you a professional contract here at Sussex for 3 years. You've done it. And me being like a 20-year-old lad, not showing any emotion, I was like, yeah, that's cool. Cheers. Awesome. Fist bump. Get back in the car, and I was with my physio and my analyst, who I've known for years. And I'm driving, and I'm like, yeah, that was cool. And they're going, Lewis, how awesome was that? I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's all right. Inside, I'm screaming little girl inside, just going nuts. Anyway, driving back, and they go, no, Lewis, stop. Do you realize those guys that you were chasing, those guys that we've seen you trying to go after since you were like 12 years old, they're not here. They're not the one that's just had that happen to them. And if anyone has seen my progression from there, it would have been about 7 years of just flatlining. But in the last 6 months, something, bang, everything just happened out of nowhere. And honestly, then playing professional cricket is the best thing ever. And doing the sport you love and playing it as a job, it's incredible. I got to travel around the world, it was amazing. I was improving. And then until the 7th of July 2016, I play a game, I bowl this ball, bang. Next thing I know, I'm in that car park having a phone call. I've refractured my spine. And I had to retire from the sport in September 2010. And it happened, it just ended. As quickly as it started, it happened just as quick that it ended. And I was lost. That's a really challenging place for a 26-year-old lad to be. You're doing the thing you love. You're traveling around the world, playing the sport you love, getting paid to do it, and then suddenly, bang, it's ripped away from you overnight. And everyone that happens to, I sympathize with them because everyone's journey is different. And what happened really for me, and it's something that I want to and it's something I start to pass on to other people, is that I realized the reason why it hit me so hard was because I hung absolutely everything on who I was, on what I did. I identified as a cricketer. And that was it. So I was like, if you ask me what I was doing, it's cricket, tournament, game, training, things like that. So if I'd introduce myself, hi, I'm Lewis, I'm the cricketer. And when that got taken away, I was left with the question of like, well, who the hell am I? So I spent ages figuring that out, right? Trying to figure out who the hell am I? And we're all trying to figure that out to some degree. But the main thing is that we should not be trying to hang our identity, that we have to do something in order to be someone. Our identity is not wrapped up in what we do. What we do is going to change. It's going to change quickly sometimes. But it's really built on, and the work I do now and what I'm talking with people about is we're talking as a society about mental health a lot. It's a big conversation. It's always a conversation. It's a great conversation to have. It's real. Everyone in here has it. Everyone's mental health will be up. Everyone's mental health will be down. And the world has never faced challenges like we're facing right now. But like sport and life, the game and life doesn't get any easier. We've got to be stronger. So I encourage you to view your mental health as mental strength. You may not be feeling strong right now, but you can get stronger. And I believe, and I see it, because I actually get to work with people and I actually get to see people change in front of my eyes, that when they stop hanging their self-worth, who they are, their self-esteem on what they're doing, their achievements, but actually look at who I am, the character I want to be, maybe the character that I want to be in 5 years, 10 years' time, and aim for that, because a byproduct of doing that is actually you can create something, you can do something with that, but more on whether you have success or not, it doesn't matter. Basing it on who I am, my character, that's something you can aim for right now. That's something you can do. And it's something that, on a bit of reflection, and I was speaking just before tonight, reflecting on my story, that's actually what I was doing. I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the ability, I didn't have the physical, I literally had the condition. But I thought, you know what? Maybe I could be a role model. Maybe I can be hardworking. Maybe I can be committed. Maybe I can be resilient. And what it does, physically what it does, and what it allows you to do, is when you are met with a very difficult challenge, a decision that you need to make, when you know the character that you want to be, it makes making that decision a little bit easier. And if you don't know the character that you want to be, find a role model. Find someone you want to be like. And if you don't know a role model, maybe dedicate it to someone that's in your life, whether they're alive or maybe they've passed. It might be a long-lost relative. It might be someone you know in your family. It might be a friend you know. Dedicate it and think, what would they do in this situation? What would they want me to do? And build it around the character. Because I promise you, when you do that, you can't lose. That's everything I've got for you tonight, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it.